Okay. So let us start today's class, guys. Okay, stop me if you couldn't able to hear my voice. Okay. So coming to the Tosca, right? So if you understand, first we need to understand what is our roles and responsibilities as a Tosca automation tester. Okay. So if you are working in any project, first they will ask for what is your roles and responsibilities and what exactly you will do, or what are the roles and responsibilities you have performed as a Tosca automation tester. Okay, so they may ask these kind of questions in your project. So we need to tell wisely. Okay, see guys, roles and responsibilities. Roles and responsibilities as Tosca automation tester. Okay, so first, what is any automation tester, right? So what they will do, first of all, being a Tosca automation tester, the first thing what you need to understand the requirement test. Okay, so for example, uh, what are the automation test cases you will do generally? For example, if you are an automation tester, definitely you should mainly focus on the automation of the test cases, right? For example, if you have a manual tester who are working on one functionality, okay? So if they are working on one functionality, you should first go to them and see there can be anything, guys. Either you will go to the manual tester, else they will come to you. Okay. So if they are coming to you and they are asking you, then you should tell them that, yeah, you should tell them that if there is any test cases in our current project, right? So we will go to them and we will ask them what exactly the repeated test cases. For example, if you have any test cases, any regression test cases, mainly we will focus on those test cases. Why? Why? Because those are repeatedly we will use it, guys. Means repeatedly we will run those particular test cases on the release basis or any normal basis. For example, see, monthly releases we can have weekly releases. Okay, so we can have different kinds of releases where you will support as a automation tester. Okay, so being an automation tester, our major responsibilities will start with understanding the requirement from the client. Okay, so from where it will start? It will start from understanding the requirement from the client. Okay. So what you will understand? See, first of all, you need to understand the requirement from the client. See, generally, I told you, right? So there will be one point where either you will go to the manual tester, else manual tester will comes to you. Okay. It's completely depends on project to project. Anyway, you need to get the requirement from the client. Okay. So, for example, if there is any repeated test cases, for example, there is example I'm telling you, there is register process. Okay. So, register process, we need to daily register 100 users. Okay. So, it's not like that. For example, if there is a bulk users, if you want to register at a time and you want to check the functionality, see, the developer will build the application in a such a way that whether it is working as expected or not. Okay. So, but being an automation tester, what is our roles and responsibilities will start? Will our main responsibilities will start like if the respective manual tester or an automation tester should test the application thoroughly. Okay. So when we need to test it, okay, so we need to test anytime. Okay. For example, if you have any performance testing, not only performance testing, any kind of testing. So make sure that you are working or you are thoroughly understanding the functionality of the application. Okay. So functionality of the application, you need to understand this. So first thing what we will do, so we will understand the requirement from the client. See guys, in one of the interview question, like where I have faced at the previous, like as a other tester, not Tosca automation tester, in the interviewer, they will ask a different things, guys. Okay. So first they will give some water bottle. Okay. They will ask you to tell what are the possible testing you can do. So these things they will ask. But now you are not a manual tester, right? So they will only focus on the respect to Tosca. Okay. So they will focus mainly on the Tosca guys. Okay. Now, so this is the one. Okay. So first of all, you need to understand the requirement from the client. Why we are doing the automation tester. So that is very important. Okay. So once it is done, what is our next thing we need to do? So after that, let me write like this. Okay. So we will get the see, guys, you can filter it out and you can answer it, but you should answer these question very wisely. Why? Because what you are telling as an input, that can be the output for the questions. Okay, your input will be the question for them. Okay, so that's why when you are telling something, be confident of it. So we will get the requirement. So generally, how we will get the requirement? So we will get the requirement from the manual testing team, like either a manual tester lead or any POC. POC means point of contact. So from them, we will get one requirement. For example, they are repeatedly running one test case again and again and again. But that is very long test case, one end-to-end test case. Okay, so which have the complex functionality as well as it has the a larger steps. Okay, for example, we need to log into the system and we need to place one order. If it is a banking project, right? So we need to uh, see whether the user is able to do the end-to-end process from bank creation till accessing the net bank, for example. Okay, so that is the bigger functionality. So we need to do the same thing 10 times or 20 times. Then the automation code will help you like anything. Okay, so that's why you need to go for the automation. And it is one of your roles and responsibilities to reach out to the manual tester. Else, if they have reached out to you, please do have a discussion and get the job done. Okay. For example, if you want any example, right? So I want to place, excuse me. So I want to place 100 orders. Okay. And one order, okay. One order is taking 10 minutes, for example. Okay. For 100 orders, we will have 1,000 minutes. See guys. So what is the advantage of automation in anywhere? Okay. The main advantage for the automation is, see guys. See, this is the one. For example, if I want to place 100 orders and one order is taking 10 minutes, then it will take 1,000 minutes. Okay. If you are waiting and manually doing 1,000 orders or manually placing 1,000 orders, it is very difficult, guys. So it is very difficult you to, okay, get the respective data. Okay. So now what you will do, you will automate this flow, this one flow. Later, only one flow you will do it with a different set of data. You will take the help of data-driven testing. What data-driven testing I will tell you. So this 1,000 minutes, instead of you going and sitting and doing the job, the Tosca will take care. So you will run that in the agents and you will go for the sleep when you're coming back, right? Means the productivity will be increased by 2 times. If you put some automation in your project, definitely your productivity will increase at least 2 times. Why? Because you will morning you will build the code and night you will run the code in the agents and you will go for the sleep. And when you are coming back, either 100 orders will be generated, else 60 to 70 orders will be generated by failing the other test cases. Okay. So if we are failing the other test cases, then what we will do, we will fix that one and we will again run it. Okay. So somehow, instead of wasting these 1,000 minutes by sitting in front of the system, we will use like this. Okay. So this is the one. So if you have 100 orders, then see if there is any repeatable test cases. Okay. So if there is repeatable test cases, definitely we will automate the respective flow. But first of all, once before we are having this one, right? So we need to check the feasibility also. I will tell you. Okay. There can be another way, guys. Okay. In our project, right? So we have this very bad way. Okay. But yeah, this is how the system is working. So you need to understand the things. Okay. So being an automation tester, okay. So being an automation tester, we will go to the functional team or manual testing team, and identify the scope of automation, in manual testing. See guys, see, if they are not coming and giving you the requirement, generally in some cases, right, if there is no manager, and if there is manager but it is nowhere related to the offshore, right? So these kind of issues you may face it. Okay. So being an automation tester, what we will do, we will go to the functional team or a manual testing team and identify the scope of automation. We will ask them, is there is any repeatable test cases where you can give it to us, else we will support you in automating the stuff. Okay. So we used to do these kind of things, guys. Okay. So once we got our requirement, so once we have identified couple of test cases, then based on the requirement what we get. Okay. So on the based on the requirement what we get from the functional team. Okay. So either the manager or lead will create a Jira stories. Okay. So either they can use a Jira user stories, they will create. Either it can be a Jira, else it can be any Q test. Okay. So Q test or HPALM, excuse me, guys. Okay. So this is the one. Okay. So based on the requirement, okay. So based on the requirement and the functional team. So based on the requirement, what we will get from the functional team, either manager or lead will create the Jira stories in order to track your respective work. Okay. So once it is done, so once our user stories are assigned, then what we will do, we will check the automation feasibility. Okay. See guys, after, see, generally on the initial stage, this can be done by any one of the lead or any other person. Okay. So what we will do once all these things are done, right? So before this thing, okay. So once we got the respective work, right? So let me put it in the fifth place. Okay. So see guys, there is no standard one. So what I have faced or what you are going to face, I'm telling all those things. So you pick some of the point and convert that into your way of handling and answer the question. Okay. So once you got the requirement or scope of automation, right? So before creating the Jira stories, what you need to do, once we have that one, we need to, once we get the automation test cases, we will see the very important one, guys. We will see the automation feasibility. It's a very big word. Okay. So definitely they will concentrate on this word. So your answer should be in a proper way. Okay. So what is the thing is like, they will ask what is the automation feasibility. Okay. So automation feasibility. Okay. So see guys, automation feasibility. So once we get the automation test cases, we will see the automation feasibility. What is automation feasibility generally? automation feasibility is nothing but whether we can automate it or not. Okay, so whether we can automate it or not, whether those test cases are linked with any complicated functionality. Okay, whether we can automate it or not, whether we can proceed further or not. Okay, means, see guys, 100% automation is not possible in any case. Remember that point. Don't think like if somebody is telling you and blindly you will tell, okay, I will automate it. No, 100% automation is never possible. Means there is no way to do 100% automation. For example, if you have captcha, not captcha, if you have any I'm not robot pop-up, you will get it, right? So you can't automate this one. Okay. I'm not robot, and it will ask you to select the staircases, buses, cars. Okay. You can't automate these kind of functionality. Okay. So if there is any OTPs, excuse me guys, yeah, so if there is only OTPs, like if you want to get the OTPs to your mobile, okay, so no, these OTPs you can't automate it. If you are getting this OTP to the mail ID, then you can automate it. But when you are getting these OTPs, then it is very hard. Okay, so if there is any captchas where you want to capture it and you want to do it, no, you can't automate it. So 100% automation is not possible. So you will check for the automation feasibility. So once you think, okay, we can do it. If, see guys, very important thing, okay, if your test cases, see guys, if your test cases is not fully automatable, then we will convert these test cases as hybrid hybrid test cases. So what we will do generally, guys, if you couldn't able to get those respective values, or you can't able to fully automate it, if there is any robot or OTPs which are involved when it is signing it, then what you will do, you will divide till that point, you will do the manual introversion, and after that you will run the automation. Okay, so instead of, yeah, this is one good way, guys. Why? Because if your sign-in is a problem and remaining everything you can do automation, then the better way would be doing a hybrid test cases. Rather, you are telling we can't automate it, you can partially automate it. So definitely we will have the hybrid test cases, guys. Okay, so we will have these hybrid test cases. Okay, next one, based on the requirement what we get from the functional team, either the manager or lead will create a Jira stories. Okay, so what we will do, guys, we will try to create a Jira stories. Okay, so once the Jira stories are done, so once it got assigned to you, now you need to do your actual testing. Okay, first thing, if it is any automation tester, we will write the code. Since there is no code which is involved in Tosca, what you need to do, you need to create the modules. Okay, once we have understood, we will create or we will create or scan the modules. Okay, so how you will scan it, that you have understood, right? So you will scan the module, you will uniquely identify those modules, and if there is any issue, you will rescan the modules also. Okay, so we will create or scan the modules in Tosca. Okay, so based on the business requirement. Okay, so if for example they have given 10 test cases, so for just for these 10 test cases, they have asked you to do some POC and do some automation and so show it to us, so that we will see which one is easier. Okay, so we need to create the modules. We need to create or scan the modules in Tosca based on the business requirement. And what is the next thing, guys? And we need to follow the proper naming convention. Proper naming should be done, guys. Okay. Proper naming should, we need to do a proper naming convention. Okay. So once we have done, make sure that you have used the, you have scanned the module. So, okay. So here comes our automation exact roles will start. Okay. So once we have scanned the module, next what we need to do? So we need to, okay. So once it is done, we need to build our actual test cases in test case sections. Okay. See guys, once you have scanned the module, drag the modules into your test cases and build your test cases. Okay. So once the test cases building is completed, then we will, okay, we will execute the test cases in execution list. Okay. What we will do guys, we will build the test cases. We will drag that into the respective folder and we will, okay. So we will execute the test cases. Okay. So once we have executed the test cases, next what we need to do? Once we have executed the test cases, right? Then if there is any mismatches, for example, when you're running the execution, if you find any deviation, okay, then what you will do? Then you will post executing the test cases, post running the test cases, post running the test cases. If you identify any issues between actual and expected, we will raise the automation defect. See, we have identified it, right? So we have identified these. So what we will do, we will, so what we will do guys, so post execution, if we identified any deviation between actual and expected, we will raise an automation defect. Okay. So this automation defect is very, very important. Okay. You will raise the defect. Okay. So the defect life cycle will be going on. So that is from the manual perspective. So they will fix the defect. Next, what they will do once the defect got fixed. Okay. Once you have raised the defect, right? The defect, once the defect got fixed, then what we will do is once the defect got fixed, we will rerun the automation scripts. We won't do it manually, right, guys. Okay. We won't do manual testing. So what we will do, once the defect got fixed, then we will run the automation scripts. Okay. We will directly run the automation script and retest the issue again. Okay. We will retest the issue again, guys. So once we have retested, right? So if it is, once the execution is done and once it is working as expected, then what we will do? So once execution is done, we will generate the reports in Tosca. Okay. So now you will ask me how to generate the reports. Okay. For example, if you have opened the Tosca, see guys, generally you need to majorly concentrate on module section, test case section, and execution section. So there is a section, call it as execution section in Tosca. In the execution section, you can, once your testing is done, right? So who will who will remember or who will convince that by verbally, if you are telling I have completed the testing, the client won't accept. What he will ask? He will ask for the proof. Okay. So what is the proof you need to submit? You need to submit the proof that, for example, I have completed the testing. Okay. So if I completed the testing, then what we need to do? We need to generate a report. Okay. So how you will generate the report in Tosca? Okay. Now go to the Tosca and go to your execution section. Okay. For example, I have this one. Okay. Now I have automated this one and now it is working as expected. Okay. So, or any other test cases also. Just you will print the report. See, while you're printing the report, you have lot of things here. What are the things? First one is actual logs. Okay. Actual logs with issues. Okay. And detailed logs. I want a detailed logs. Okay. So once your execution is done, either it is a smaller test case or larger test case, you can generate an automatic this one. Okay. Yeah. So you can generate a report like this. Okay. So do you want only failed test steps need to be shown? No. So do you want a screenshot included? Yes. Okay. If you want to include the screenshots. Okay. Now see, the report will be generated in the PDF. Okay. I don't have PDF, any Adobe PDF. So that's why it is opening in the Word. So see, there is an execution report. So when you have generated the execution report on 12/12, see, you won't do anything, guys. The Tosca will automatically create a report. Okay, it will show how many. For example, you have uh, test cases total. Okay, so you will get one here. Okay, how many passed? You have passed one. We need to properly do all those things, guys. Okay, next you can see a chart bar like how many test cases you have automated and what are the steps you have followed. Okay, you will get all these things. If you have a bigger test case, right? So we can have a bigger test case where we have the test cases in place. Okay, so where the execution is happened in the place. Okay, see, for example, you have this test case. Now I want to generate the report of cross browser testing. You will see it in the upcoming classes. See, for example, you have generated one report with the respective report name. Okay, so you can at the end, if you want to add the screenshot, you can add it. Now see here. So you have generated when you have generated the report, you need not to do one by one test. So how many total test cases we have? We have three test cases. One pass, one fail, and one we have error out. Okay. See, you can see it in the pie diagram. Okay. After that, you can see your test cases, why it got failed, what it got failed. Okay. See, it is included the screenshot also. Okay. So if each and every one, you can generate the report. Now send this report to the end users or the client and tell them we have completed the testing. Once it is all the test cases got passed, right? So then only do it. Else there can be a deferred defect. Okay. If the developer is couldn't able to fix the defect in the current sprint, then we will move to the next. So that time you will have some failures in your screenshot also. Okay. So based on the functionality, you need to enact guys. Okay. So once it is done, you will go to the respective Jira user stories and you will attach your all your proof document. Okay. So once the execution is done, what we will do? Once the execution is done, we will generate the reports in the Tosca from execution list. And what we will do? We will attach the proof document. Okay. So proof document in the Jira or Qtest or HPL. Okay. So once it is done, what we need to do? So everything is working as expected, right? So we will close the user stories. We will close the user stories. Either it can be a Jira, either it can be an HPLM. Wherever you have created the user story, there you will close it. Okay. So your job not done, guys. So you need to give some sign off, right? So we need to tell to the client that you need to consolidate a report or consolidate mail. There will be a standard template, guys, when you're sending any status to the client, right? So you can get the standard one. So send the report to the client as a proof document. See guys, you need to be very conscious when you're working in software. You should do all these things. Why? Because somebody, someday, if there is any issue, they will come to you and they will ask you. At that time, you can show them the report where you have sent as a proof document, as a proof that we have tested that scenario due to the deployment or due to any XYZ reasons, the functionality got changed. Okay, so you need to be very conscious. So do we do all these things on a regular basis? Depends, guys. Okay, so not I have told you all the roles and responsibilities what you need to fulfill. Okay, the entire one. But in sometimes you may scan one full day, you may scan one module, not one module, or you may build 2 to 3 test cases. Okay, so among all these what we call roles and responsibilities, you may fulfill one or means you may miss one or two. Okay, so daily, instead of getting you going to the client or you going and asking the requirement, they can come to you. Okay, so all these things are very very important, guys. If somebody is asking you, tell in this pattern and make sure that you have told the automation feasibility. Why? Because if there is, without knowing the automation feasibility, or you need to thoroughly check the manually, guys. You need to run the test case manually once. Okay, do that one. Anyway, you will do it. But yeah, so if there is any captchas or robot or OTPs are involved, make that into the hybrid test cases. In Tosca terminology, we will call those test cases as hybrid test cases. Okay, so these are all the roles and responsibilities we need to fulfill as a Tosca automation tester. Okay, so note down this, and anyway, I will give you the class notes. Please do understand the subject, and you just tell, you pick one of the point and tell to the interviewer. Okay, but definitely they will ask, being an automation tester, what are the roles and responsibilities you have fulfilled. You can take this one and explain, so make sure that you have covered this point for sure. Okay, so why? Because being an automation tester, or especially Tosca automation tester, you will mainly focus on the modules, test cases, execution, and reports. Okay, yeah, so you can ask the questions.
So Rajesh, the automation would commence only after the manual test case creation, right?
Yes, yes,
So, and it can go parallel as well.
yes. In sprint automation, it will go back.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Good, good. See, what she is asking is like, if we have done the manual testing, then only we will do the automation testing. Yes, you're right. But now, what they are planning is like, they are planning to remove the manual testing and they want to directly introduce the automation testing code once the code is deployed, which is not that easy. But these kind of tools can make it easy. Okay, so that's what the actual plan is. And parallelly, yes, parallelly also you can do it. The manual tester will complete one test case and they will tell you, hey, this is working as expected and it is stable enough to automate it. Then you will go and you will do it, and you will, means you will do manually once and then you will test it. You will do automation.
We can't kickstart the automation, right? Because if we know this, but we would need to know what are we. So it should pass through manual first, and then
Yes, that's what I
even
told.
if the scenario, yeah,
Once
yeah.
in parallelly also, they will do manual testing first and they will tell us, yeah, this test case is stable enough and it is working. Then you will do one manual testing, being an automation tester. Means manually, okay, you will click on this, you will click on that, you will see whether there is a lag in the page and you will go one flow. Okay, so then you will do the automation. Generally, you will majorly focus on the regression test cases. Means at the end of the sprint, to make sure the previous fixes of the code is not affecting the current functionality. For example, developer will do a lot of changes in your, if you are raising the defect, the code will get changed. Due to the change in the code, if the other test cases are working as expected or not, that and other. Is there any impact on the other test cases? Means what you need to do, you need to thoroughly run the regression test case at the end of the sprint on the releases basis. In our real time, right? So we have automated a lot of test cases. Okay. So where on the release basis, they will run it in the agents. That's it.
So, so we can create both the regression and the progression cases, which again
Yes.
later will
Progression test
become
case.
the regression. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Perfect.
And Rajesh, is it good to test the system level testing or the integration testing with Tosca?
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah, we can do both. Okay, both system
both.
testing can be done using Tosca, but yeah, depends on the functionality what you have. Okay, I told you, right? 100% is automation is not possible. Integration testing, yes, we can do it. If you want integrate 2 to 3 systems into single and you want to test it, yes, you can do it. Yeah.
And Rajesh, for the sorry, one last question. For creating the automation test plan, when is the right time? So, is it should it be before the manual test case creation
Yeah.
or automation test plan?
Yeah, it's completely depends, right? So how it can be
Mhm.
completely depends. See, generally, either you will work in sprint automation, else you will be working on the what you call at the end of the
Waterfall.
yeah,
Uh,
what not waterfall, I can say. Either we
uh,
can do in sprint automation, else once the testing is done for the previous releases, now for 2 to 3 releases previously which you have done, that test cases also you can automate as part of regression. You got my point, right? In sprint, in
yeah.
the sense, if you have 2 to 3 weeks of duration, in the same sprint, you will do the automation. If there is any small enhancement on the application, right? You will build the code. Anyway, you will get the requirement, right? So yeah, it completely depends. For example, if it is an in-sprint automation, right? Parallelly, when manual testing is are doing their test plan, you will do your test plan. If it is an in-sprint automation, if it is a previous release test cases, now it's in your hand, right? So when you can do that, you can do it. Before you're automating it, give your test plan. See, generally for automation, right? So how you have manual test plans, we won't have that much test plans. So what we will do, we will give our estimations. That's it. When we can complete it, so when we can do the automation, so what is our plan of action and what is the time duration, so those things you will put it.
And Rajesh, how we can estimate the time with respect in Tosca? So,
Yeah, in
um, mhm.
yeah, in Tosca, no, there is no feature like you can estimate it. For
And the,
example, you will give an
no, no,
yeah.
no, not in Tosca, but how do you estimate a project, automation project in Tosca? So, how, yeah, like for scripting, right? Definitely it
Mm,
would take a longer time. With
mm.
Tosca, I know there will be a reduction of time, but how significant is it?
Yeah, see, it's come. So that's why the lead will take care. The first thing is like who has at least one person will be very strong in Tosca. That person will be there and he will give their estimations. But being an individual testers, we also should give our estimation. For example, if you have 10 test cases and if you have 5 testers, okay, so we will see the complexity first. Like, say, for example, how much big the functional flow is. Is there any dependencies with the other application? Is there any dependency on the test cases of the other application? In test data, we need to take it from the APIs. We need to take it from the TDM APIs or any other things. Okay. So based on that, we will give a rough estimation. It's not like exact estimation. We need to tell them, we need to see the functionality, complexity, dependencies, all these things we will see it, and we will give the estimation. Like we will if there is smaller functionality, right, we will tell yeah, it will take almost 2 to 3 days for one test case, but we will take 1 day as a buffer. Like that you will do.
Thank you.
Yeah, somebody is
Uh,
asking one question.
Rajesh, in the manual we can create it means regression and different types of test cases we will create regression and smoke sanity like that.
Mm.
Is there any possibility to create in the different uh, folders in this
Yeah,
Tosca?
we will maintain the regression suite. So we'll create one folder and we will maintain the regression suite for each and every applications. for sanity suit for each and every application. Like that. If you have smoke test, you will categorize those test cases and you will try to put it separately. From application side, you will create and you will create one folder and you will put it separately.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be regression suits.
Sure. And how many test cases it means generally in the Tosca, how many test cases we will create per person in a
See,
general way?
yeah. So it completely depends. Like if you have worked for 1 year, complete year, right? So you can estimate, see that too based on the complexity. Okay. For example, if you have a larger flow, right? So you can't do anything. If it is a smaller flow, then you can see in my entire career, I have automated almost 200 to 250 test cases total. Rough estimation, if you are asking me, on monthly basis, you need to create, if you take 3 test cases per week, 4 3s are 12. So you can estimate some rough 15 to 20 test cases. I'm telling a larger test cases, not smaller one. Okay. Yeah. So take an estimation of 3 to 4 test cases, longer test cases in week, 1 week. See, I'm not only telling about building the test cases. I'm talking execution, maintaining, and executing in the agents, including that I'm telling. But depends on project to project. Okay.
Yes.
See, if you went to any project, right, it can be new to you. For example, if you can go to the project, right, it is a new project for you. Else, it can be a maintenance project also. Some part, like somebody has already done the script, you need to maintain the scripts. If you identified any issues, you need to rescan the module. You need to fix the issues. Most of the projects, what I saw in the market is like maintenance one only. Not most. 50% is maintenance. Why? Because they've already created the code. Now it's your time. If there is any issue, you need to support them.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is there any changes in the code?
Yes. We need to fix
add.
Yeah. And parallelly, you need to build the code also. Okay. Yeah. Depends. Depends on the project to project.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, Rajesh, hello,
Hmm.
Rajesh.
Go ahead.
Yeah, like in Tosca level, you extracted the reports, right? Like those reports are the temporary reports, right? Like it only give the current reports which is executed. If you integrate with the QTest, it will give the old reports. Like for example, I
Yes.
need the report with 1 month back to show that there is a difference from current.
There will be a dashboard. Okay, there will be a dashboard in the Q test when you're linking the test case to Q test, right? So you are executing those all reports. You can, for example, you are integrating with Jira or Q test. There you will take the actual reports, and we will maintain the entire data in the Q test. Okay, where you can see how many test cases we have executed, how many test cases we have done. Everything you can see it over there. There will be a dashboard.
With screenshots also, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Screenshot. Major thing is screenshots, right? So I haven't told you that yet. There is an option called Doku Snapper. Okay, Doku Snapper. You don't do anything. You manually don't do anything. You run the test case. Automatically, every page it will take the screenshot and it will put it in the Word document and it will give it to you at the end of your execution. The Tosca will take care. And you can, using the Explorer, you can directly link your respective screenshot to the Q test directly. You don't need to do anything. Okay.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Failure steps also you can take. Yeah, Neelama, go ahead.
Yeah, like if we have any system settings, like we need to change it from database. So the cases we cannot, like if we have any system setting, that we need to update it from database and we need to verify. So such cases we cannot automate, right?
No, we can automate it. Who said we can't automate it? So if there is any introversion in the database, right? So we have a standard modules called it as database modules. See here, you need not to do anything. Give the ODBC connections and open the database. And if you have multiple database, connect to the current database and run your SQL statement and get the data from the table and close the connections and convert this into a variable. We will call it as buffer and pass that into the front-end application. You can do it.
Okay, like if we have two values yes or no, but default value should be the yes.
Yeah, you can
So
put conditions. You can put
okay.
conditions, right? Put the condition. If there is yes, then do this. If there is that value, then do that. You can do it. You can do it. See, you need, so that's where once you have understood the automation, right? Slowly you will get all the doubts done. Okay, but you can automate it. The functional, the one which you have like what you have asked, that will be automated properly.
Okay. And like whatever we are considering in sprint, like all those items we can automate apart from the regression sheet, right?
Depends. Yeah. So that's what we said, right? 100% is
Based on the
automation is,
scope.
yeah, based on the, yes, right. You're right.
Yes.
See, we need to analyze that. That is our role, right? So we will see the automation feasibility, being an automation tester. When we will see that, first we need to learn the Tosca from end to end. Then you can give your estimations. Then you can tell whether it can be automatable or not. Else we can try it, at least give me 1 day time or half day time to analyze that. So you can take care of that. Okay.
Yes. Thanks.
Good question, guys. Very good. Okay, so I need to jump into another class. Okay, so that's it.